And we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Badass College Apps, where we talk about applying to college and then we stop and take a breath. And we're going to be doing a lot of the stopping and taking a breath today because it's a really special day. It's the day before Ivy Day. So for those of you out there watching, also, if you're watching the recording, maybe it is Ivy Day tomorrow. And for a lot of people, that is a traditional, super stressful day because that means you're going to hear back from some of your very most rejective colleges. And I know that a lot of you are probably feeling like really anxious about that. So I brought in some really amazing guests with us here tonight. And start off with Brittany, who's one of my favorite yoga teachers. She is going to talk to us a little bit about her gratitudes and how she deals with stress, and then do a little bit of yoga with us. And we also have Carly, who's always with us to talk about how she deals with stress and maybe some things she's thankful for as we talk more about it. Brittany and Carly, I'm going to let you guys kind of jump in and just start off. Brittany, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are, give us some background, and how if they want to find you in other venues, how they could do that.
Sure. So I'm Brittany Kraft. You can find me on Instagram it's at Brittany Alice. It's BrittanyAlice. I like to just post, some little yoga stuff that I'm doing over there and lots of pictures of my cute little puppy. I currently work in education software, which is a recent career change for me. I was teaching 12th grade for the past 5 years, so I have a lot of experience of working with students who are applying to college and getting into college and not getting into college and all that stress. And I remember that time very vividly. Like, I think 12th grade was in some ways my favorite year because you're like an adult, sort of, kind of. And college was definitely my favorite time in my life, probably so far. So I love this age group. It's so exciting what is to come. And your generation is so lucky because you have so many tools available to you that weren't available to us when we were applying to college, like to help manage stress and like you talk about meditation a lot more than we ever did. I had to like seek it out in very esoteric realms at that time. But yeah, I'm just really excited to be here, and I'm so excited for everybody who's applying to college and taking that next step in their journey.
Yeah, and I'm so very, very grateful that you're here. And thank you for sharing like your incredible wisdom that I know you're going to be able to share in just a little bit. Carly, tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Carly. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I'm currently back home, so that's why there's a different background. I'm majoring in communications at a community college. I'm one of the moderators of r/applying to college. I'm also the owner of the Discord server over there. You can find me on either of those if you want to talk to me about communications or anything related to applying to college. And yeah.
And I'm so grateful to have Carly with us every week to help everything run smoothly. And I'm Carolyn, also known as Admissions Mom. You can find me on Reddit or Instagram as Admissions Mom, or you can find me on Twitter. Yes, Carly is the A2C owner for sure. I'm going to put that up. Let's see. Did it go up? No, it didn't show up. Why didn't it show? Here we go. Okay, there we go. That's Carly, the A2C owner. And you can find me on Reddit or Instagram, or you can find me just by email at carolyn@admissionsmom.college. And yeah, definitely feel free to reach out to me. People even reach me through here just by like leaving comments and stuff through YouTube. So that's cool too. So we are totally, totally, totally happy to have all of you here. And Brittany, I just wanted to start with you for just a second and have you tell me just a little bit about like, what are some of your go-to ways of handling like a really stressful situation? Because a lot of these kids are like probably more stressed than they've felt in a long time in their lives, if ever. today, right now.
And I would love to be like, and life will get less stressful, but the truth is it just gets more stressful. You just hopefully build your toolkit to manage the stress.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think she froze.
Uh-oh, did Brittany freeze?
Mm.
Oh, that's too bad. She has so much wisdom. Well, let's go to you, Carly. She'll be back in a. Oh, there you are.
Okay, there we go.
Just
Okay,
look.
sorry. My
Yeah.
internet has been funky today. We had really bad storms in Houston this morning, and my internet has just been like not super stable. Okay, so some of my favorite ways to manage because when we feel any kind of discomfort or any feelings that we don't want to feel, the normal reaction is to not feel it, right? Whether that's numbing out, like getting on our phone and scrolling through TikTok, or, binging Netflix, or like not doing the thing that you want to do. And I get this. When I graduated from college, I so badly didn't want to make a resume that I just moved to France and went back to school. Like I was like, I don't want to do the thing. So what I have learned is the best way to manage stress and discomfort is to actually feel it. And I know that no one wants to do that. But the thing is feelings are just feelings. They're like weather. Like this morning, it was very stormy, and now it's beautiful and sunny. The weather comes and goes. It's always changing, and our feelings are just feelings. They come and go. But when we're willing to sit with the discomfort, and we're willing to sit with the stress and feel the stress and like let it be there, it will go away. It will dissipate. When we clench up and we're like, I don't want to feel it. Oh, I'm going to stuff it down. I'm going to do this other thing. I'm going to scroll on my phone for a little while. It just gets louder, and it gets more annoying, and it gets harder to deal with. So my invitation to you is, when you're feeling that stress, like let's say you get that email, from a college, or you get that letter in the mail, and you're like, right? Before you just like tear it open or like freak out, like maybe pause for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, maybe set a timer on your phone and sit there and just feel the discomfort and name it. Like this, I'm sweating under my armpits, and my stomach feels like it's upside down, and I feel tingly up the back of my neck. Like really name the feelings and feel them, even like exaggerate them, and then just see what that does. And then you can move on with your life. You don't have to sit with it forever. But yeah, feelings are just feelings, but techniques can help us to manage the feelings.
Yeah, 100%. That's great advice. Carly, do you have like a go-to thing you go to when you're super stressed out to help you?
I think recently the thing I've been doing is, I think it was Ben that suggested it, the thing where you inhale and then you make your exhales longer than your inhales. I've actually been using that, and I found that really helpful.
Me too.
So,
Yeah, I've been
yeah.
using that ever since he was on with us a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, me too. So let's talk about, because this is going to be a theme of the whole night. So just like quickly before we get into Brittany's yoga, one thing, and it can be a super little thing, but one thing that you're each grateful for that have in your life. Brittany, why don't you go first?
Ooh, I wish he would come over here, but I just got a puppy. He's sleeping in the corner because we went on a walk right before this. I just got a puppy. I am so grateful for him. He brings so much joy and love and delight to my life, and also so much routine, which is really grounding and stabilizing. And maybe he'll make an appearance at some point. But yeah, I'm really, really grateful that he's in my life.
Super cute. And Carly, what about you? One little thing.
I'm grateful for my friends.
Yeah.
They're always there for me. Like when I'm down, I know that they're there to like talk to me. Even if I just want someone to lend an ear to listen to me, I know that they're there, and I can do the same back to them. Or if I need advice, like I just go, hey, I need advice on this. Can you help? They're always there for me.
Yeah, that's great. And the one thing I'm going to talk about right now that I'm grateful for is, I can't like really ever talk about anything that I'm grateful for without being grateful for my mom. And just the influence she had on my life. But in this particular interest, the kind of the impetus for Admissions Mom, because I, kind of created my whole persona of Admissions Mom in her honor, and in her memory, so that we could kind of I could, because she was a big proponent of college access. And so this is kind of for her too. I'm going to let Ben on. Let me let him on. Let's see if he's ready.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, Ben. We were just talking about you.
Oh, good. All good things, I hope.
Yeah. Carly was saying how she's been using the longer exhales that you were teaching us about a couple of weeks ago. Ben, this is Brittany. Brittany, this is Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Brittany, Ben works as a college admissions professional, and Brittany is a former high school English teacher, and now she's doing ed tech, and she's also an amazing yoga teacher and mindfulness teacher.
Amazing.
Ben's also a mindfulness teacher. So roll. Anyway, Brittany, because I know you're going to have to jump off soon, and I'm going to take you over, but I always make everybody stay over, so would you mind doing a few minutes of some movement, kind of yoga with us for those of you out there watching now or watching tomorrow or later, whenever you decide to watch, and then a little mindfulness with us for a minute or two?
Sure. Yeah. So let's just start with a little bit of breathing. So it'll be a little bit of a meditative breath, and we use our imagination, kind of put all these things together. So my invitation to you, whoever's listening and watching, is to get really comfortable. You don't have to be seated. You could be lying down. You can be laying on your bed. You can lay on the couch, whatever's comfortable to you. I'm just sitting on the floor because I like sitting on the floor. But so you can sit on your couch, on a chair, whatever's going to feel comfortable. And then if it's comfortable to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes because then I'm not super self-conscious about seeing myself on camera. So I'll close my eyes, but you can keep your eyes open or closed. You can soften your gaze if that helps you. And just take a moment to feel your whole body, feel your skin, feel your muscles, feel your bones, feel any places that you make contact with whatever you're sitting or lying on. And notice kind of what's going on around the internal weather, the external weather. Notice if it's hot or cold. Notice if you're comfortable or uncomfortable. Just kind of notice and pay attention to all those things, all the sounds going on. And just let all of those things exist, right? Meditation is not about completely silencing the mind. If you silenced your mind, you'd be dead. So we don't want that. There's going to be all these things going on, and we're just going to be the observer of it all. So now that you've kind of situated yourself in time and space, I want you to open your imagination and think to back when you were a little kid and you had this really big, expansive imagination. I want you to imagine that the top of your head is like a giant observatory or big telescope that could open up. And it opens up to the stars and all the celestial bodies above you. And a big bright star shining above you is going to shine some light down through the center of your skull, and it comes down through the center of your eyebrows, and it goes through your upper palate, and it goes through the center of your throat and the center of your chest, and down through your torso past your belly button, and then down through your pelvis and down into the floor. And keep your imagination really expansive and start to feel the back of your body. So feel where the back of your body is, whether it's making contact with something or not. Kind of lean into the back of your body. If you're on a chair, you can lean into it. If you're sitting up, you can lean just slightly back, just ever so slightly. So that it's like the back of your body is this wall or support. It's there to support you being stable and support you even moving forward. And so in yoga, the back of the body, we like to think of it metaphorically as like the cover of your book, or like your shell, or like your past. And so all of your past is there to support you. It's there to support you moving forward. So feel your back body, and then feel the front of your body. Feel your chest and your belly, and feel that kind of expand and open just a little bit. You might even feel your shoulders roll back and your heart and your lungs lift up a little bit, or maybe it's just happening in your imagination. So feel the front of your body open a little bit, and we like to think of your front body metaphorically as your future. It's your potential. So you want to Be open and available to everything that's out there for you, all the options that you have, all of the potential in front of you, everything that lies ahead of you on your past. So feel those both simultaneously. The back body, which is your past, is there to support you, and your front body, which is your potential. It's there to keep you open and available. And then find the middle again, that central line that moves through the center of you. So that's you in the present moment. So you are equally available to reflect back, to think back over all your memories and your past, and you're available to be open to the future, to the potential. So we're going to do a breath exercise here. We're going to breathe up the back and down the front, which I know Carolyn has done with you. So first, I want you to just take a really deep breath and imagine that breath is rising up the back of your body. So big full breath. And then exhale and let your breath cascade down the front of your body. So we'll do that again a couple times. You don't have to be on my exact count. When you're ready, whenever it's time, inhale, feel the breath rise up your back. And exhale, let it cascade down your front. Now this time when you inhale, I want you to imagine as it rises up your back, it's like fire. So it's flames rising up your back. And then as you exhale, imagine it's rain or even a waterfall cascading down your front. So when you inhale, feel that fire rise up the back. That's all the efforts that you make. And when you exhale, feel the breath rain down the front. That's you being open to grace. That's your gratitude. So inhale, the breath rises up the back again. All the efforts in your past, all the things you've done to get to this point. And then exhale, let it rain down your front. So it's like you're an open cup available to catch the rain as it falls. Inhale again, feel the breath rise up the back. Feel all of your efforts support you in your movement forward. And then exhale, let it rain down your front. Feel your body relax as you let all the gift waves rain down on you. So one more time, inhale, let it rise up the back. And exhale, let it fall down the front. And then just pause for a moment. And just notice what that little moment of mindfulness and breathing did for you. And then if you're lying down, you can kind of make your way up to sit. And if you're sitting in a chair, you're totally fine. If you're sitting on your bed, you're fine. You could even be standing if you want to. And we're going to just kind of rock back and forth a little bit here. So I call this a cat and a cow. You're going to just kind of just tip yourself forward and back. And when you come forward, you can start to open up your chest a little bit and send your shoulders back. And when you exhale, you can kind of round your back, bring your chin to your chest. And this can be really big and grand, or it can be really small, like we might barely even see you moving. So move back and forth. I'm seated, so I have my hands on my knees, which might feel good. It's nice to make some little contact here. And just kind of go back and forth, move through your spine. So any stuck energy, any of that stress that gets stuck in our tissues can start to kind of move. And then start to make some circles. So circle around. You can feel like your hips are kind of making a circle, your chest is making a circle. So almost like you're stirring things up, you're mixing things up, kind of blending things and integrating things. All these ideas and things going on through your mind, we're sort of integrating those into the body. And then stop for a moment, switch directions and go the other way, just kind of moving again, however it feels good to you. No specific or technical perfect way to do this. And then we'll come back to the center and bring your arms out to the side and then reach them up. You can hook your thumbs over the top of your head and take a really big breath in, open up the front of your body. And then take your right hand over to the right. If you're on the floor, you could put on the floor. You could just kind of let it hang to the side and reach your left arm over your left ear. Just kind of open up that left side of your lung so you can get a little more breath there. And then bring your hands back up to center. Another deep breath in. And exhale and bring your left hand down. Reach your right arm over your ear. Open up that right side of the body. And then inhale, bring your arms back up to the center again. Now we're going to twist. So we're going to twist over to the right. And you can bring your hands down And bring your right hand behind you. Your left hand can kind of come across the body. You can grab onto your knee or your thigh if that's available to you. And now take a really deep breath into the back of your left shoulder and your left lung. So a spot that we might not get our breath to all of the time. And then the next time that an inhale comes, you're going to come back to the center and reach your arms up again. And then exhale, and you're going to go over to the left. And bring your hands down, left hand behind you. The right hand can kind of come to your right thigh or knee. And this time, send your breath into the back of your right shoulder and your right lung. Feel it really fill up there. And then come back to the center, reach your arms up. One more time, deep breath in. And then we're just going to kind of fold forward. So if you are at a desk, you could just lay your hands down on your desk and let maybe your forehead could come to the desk. If you're on the floor, you could put your hands to the floor and fold over. And then just kind of let yourself fold here for a second. So when we fold, it gives us a moment to go inward and to shut out the world for just a second and have a moment to ourselves. So when we're opening up and lifting up and stretching out, that's when we open to the future. But when we go in, it gives us a moment to reflect on everything we've done. It gives you a moment to settle. Very common for your nervous system to do forward fold. So when you feel that stress start to rise, taking a little forward fold, even if it's you're just seated at your chair and you fold over. You can tell your teacher that I gave you that, and they can call me when they're mad at you for leaning over at your desk. Start to walk your hands back up. You can come to sit. And that's that. A super easy little sequence. I do that one before bed a lot of the time. It's really, really, just rock back and forth, stir it up, stretch side to side, twist and fold, and I sleep like a baby.
Brittany, thank you so much. That was amazing. Perfect. I hope those of you watching at home were able to at least watch and participate. And those of you watching tomorrow or the recording, for sure, you're in your room alone. Nobody's watching you. I do yoga in my house every day by myself. So jump in and try it out. And kind of see how just moving your body can make you feel better, and connecting your mind to your body and your breath can make you feel better, especially when you're super stressed out. Brittany, feel free to stay around or whatever you need to do, but I'm going to go ahead. Carly, I can't reach down to Alex and Mark. Can you let them on? And Brittany, thank you very much. I'm going to say thank you in case you want to jump off.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to jump off, but thank you so much, and good luck to everybody. Stay calm. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you so much for coming. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So now we have the pro admissions team, the guys who are way, way cooler than I am. So I'm super happy about that. And I'm going to let each of you come around and introduce yourselves and talk about, just introduce yourselves first, and then we're going to talk a little bit about other stuff. So Ben, I'm going to start with you because I see you all as a circle, a clockwise circle. Ben, Alex, Mark, Scholar. I don't know if y'all see it that way. Cool. All right. So Ben, you start. Tell us about you and why you want to be here with me.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks, Carolyn. Thanks, everyone. Nice to be here with you again. And I know that decisions are coming out. For a lot of you, they already have. And some of you are still waiting on those last decisions. So best of luck throughout this process. My name is Ben Bousquet. I'm an assistant director of admission at Vanderbilt University here in Nashville, Tennessee, where we are currently under a severe weather alert. So I'm watching the wind go nuts out my window. So what I hope to bring to this space is some experience in highly selective admissions for sure here at Vanderbilt, but I began my career at a much different institution at a public liberal arts college that accepts 75% of the students who apply. So I hope to bring that broad perspective of an admission officer who's been in a few different environments. Glad to be here.
And also, though, I have to add, Ben, is that you're really into mindfulness and you've done your own meditation and mindfulness journey. Kind of be able to help us.
Absolutely. Yeah, great point. So when I came to Vanderbilt in part because of our amazing Center for Student Wellbeing. And so I not only taught mindfulness and meditation practice, but I did that alongside academic coaching. We see personal well-being and academic success as very much overlapping. And Vanderbilt's kind of on the frontier of student mental health care in that way. So I definitely bring that perspective as well.
Great. So happy to have you. Thank you for coming back. And Alex, thank you for coming back.
Yeah, happy to be here. So yeah, I'm Alex McNeil. I'm a college consultant. I'm one of the Applying to College mods as well. And I'm just here to hang out, to answer some questions, to support the stream as always. And because, this is a time of the cycle when I really start getting a lot of messages from students who are having a hard time, making decisions between, offers they have received or who are coping with the difficulty of rejections and, repetitive wait lists, and we're just kind of going through it. It's a hard time of year. And I think this season, more than many, I've been really feeling that energy. So I just wanted to be here and talk to y'all and answer whatever questions I can. And also, I don't have a lamp in my office yet because I just moved. So I'm very aware that as the sun sets, it's growing darker and darker in my room. So you'll have to forgive me if I fade into the background as the stream goes on.
I don't think that's possible. and Scholar Grade.
Yeah, so I'm Mark Burkle, maybe more commonly known as Scholar Grade, and I run a college admissions consulting company with my wife, Better College Apps, and mostly, Carolyn and I go back a long ways, and obviously I want to support, what we're doing here, getting some information out and trying to help students deal with how do I cope with rejection. Right? How do I handle that? Because that's a lot to process. It feels like someone has taken a dagger to your soul. And I acknowledge that. This is a hard thing to do, right? Admissions officers, I'm sure Ben can attest to this, don't like sending out rejections. There's no joy in that, right? But it has to happen. That's part of, it's just mathematically has to happen. So how do you handle that? What do you do? What are the options? Where do you go from there? And then I also want to talk about how do you handle being accepted? Because if you get admitted to a place like Vanderbilt, that's a pretty big responsibility you feel like you have to live up to. Imposter syndrome is real. And whether you're ready for it or not, it's probably crouching over your shoulder waiting to strike. And you may not realize it until the decision hits, right? And the confetti shows up on your screen. You're like, wow, this is amazing. And everybody's excited for you. And then you feel this nagging doubt. And so I want to help you understand just a couple of thoughts that I have over the years of working with students and helping them through this. How can you handle that? How do you cope with getting admitted and figuring out, can I afford this and kind of some stuff like that. So definitely want to talk through a few of those points as well. Perfect.
And I hope you'll come back to talk about some of those more.
Sure.
So, yeah, when we have a little more time too. Yeah, that'd be great. So I want to take, we have a question from Popcorn that has nothing to do with any of this, but I think we all can help answer it. So let's just take it. So for some reason, this is not working very well for me. Carly, you're probably going to have to help me with this because I can't get the quotes to show up. The text, can you make it show up? Yeah, there you go. Okay. Thank you. What are some key things to add in a Loki? I get updates and showing your interest in a school, but is it a good idea to try to talk to professors and get to know students to show even more interest? So Popcorn, I'm going to just put in there before I get responses from them. I did a whole show about that a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you were able to come or not with Marcela De Laurentiis, and she gave some really incredible advice. I recommend that you watch that or at least read her post, or I have it linked in my post. But I do want to hear quickly, because I also want to get into dealing with the stress of all this. But from Mark, let's start with you.
Sure.
What do you think? Did they reach out to professors?
Yeah, it's fine if you want to. If you don't get any responses, that's not the end of the world. Reaching out to a professor, reaching out to a student is not like some magic formula. If you do it, you will suddenly get admitted from the wait list, but it can help. The big point I have is actually send something. Something like 20 to 30% of students who accept a spot on the wait list will actually send something. Most of them just assume, oh, it's basically just I'll just take this as an L and move on. And so instead of that, like show, hey, I'm still interested. I want this spot on the wait list. Please consider me. I once heard a Cornell AO say, we only really gave consideration to the people that sent us an update of some kind. So send them something.
Yeah, and that's that quote of yours I put in every post I make about.
Yeah. And if you can give them updates on, here are some of the things that I've done, some of the things that are exciting going on in my life, things that I'm still pursuing, that's great. And I'm still excited about your school. Obviously, you want to say something to that effect, and then send it.
Yeah, good advice. What about you, Alex? You suggest that they reach out to a professor or students?
I want to echo what Mark said, which is that I think you can reach out to a professor, but you probably shouldn't expect much of a response because professors are very, very busy, and kind of fielding an inquiry from a student who's in the application process may not be at the top of their priority list. But, for me, I think a big thing that I emphasize when working with students on essays is that you need to, build a narrative that's coherent, that fits together from one to the next, and echoing some of the themes, some of the stories that you've built up in your application essays in a letter of continued interest is important. Everyone likes to be introduced to someone who's dynamic, who has things going on in their life, who feels like, they're bringing something into a room. So continuing to show that in a letter, through updates about, what have you been up to, even if it's something super insignificant or just like you've further dove into Wikipedia on some, niche issue and learned a lot about, whatever. I think you need to show some of that kind of dynamic character and that you have continued to evolve beyond hitting send on your application.
And Ben, I'm super curious about you because I've never talked to you about waitlist and Lokis. We've talked about a lot of other stuff. What do you think? Would it, if you saw that a student had made the effort to reach out to a professor or like one thing Marcella talked about was like, if not a professor, reaching out to like the captain of a club you might want to be interested in, or, something like that. If you saw that if they wrote about that in the Loki, would it make a difference? Would you think anything at all? Kind of curious.
Well, it depends. I'll build off Mark's point that, it's funny that you say, 20 or 30% of students actually reach out and things like that. Like, I literally don't know anything about the students that don't reach out. Right. At that point, it's not, I don't know. And not every student has to reach out. You might get waitlisted at a school, but you've already been admitted to other schools that you're more interested in. And so in that case, like, great, bygones be bygones, move on, and you've got a little bit of an easier decision to make. If it is a school that you're very interested in, you should probably reach out to the admission officer, unless their website says don't do that, in which case don't do that. But at a school like Vanderbilt, at my former institution, that's absolutely fine. Now, if you're doing something like, reaching out to a professor, talking to a student, that's all fine and good. My main thing is at least you've done something, you've let us know. Most schools will have some way of flagging that in the application. Like Alex said, if that can be part of a sort of systematic way that you have described yourself as an applicant, I think that that's great if it fits in this narrative. And then ultimately recognize that just like the admissions decisions that were rendered at regular decision, at early decision, or early action, so much of this is out of your control. Some schools are going to say, the director is going to say, okay, who are our hot waitlist prospects? Let's bring in 7 of those today. Some schools are going to say, okay, I need 3 more students in biomedical engineering. Cool. So you might be the most eager to attend Vanderbilt and your family can pay for it out of pocket and everything else, and you're amazing, but you're a psych major, so it's just not going to happen for you. That has nothing to do with you. So I would keep that in mind. Take none of this personally, and whatever you do, you'll find a school that's a great fit for you and that's excited to have you on their campus. Right.
And Carly, I can't get rid of it. I'm going to let you do that. I have no control over what's happening with the texting now. So you're going to have to do that. But I want to take what Ben just said about and you can take that one downtown too, Carly. I want to take what Ben just said about the lack of control, because I think that is probably what causes the most anxiety overall about college admissions, especially for kids who are very used to being in control of their lives, who are used to doing everything a certain way and having things go the way they want. And then all of a sudden, this is like a huge thing, part of your plan that you might have had all along, and then you have no control over it. And that can cause great amounts of anxiety. And the one thing I really want to talk about today is some key ways to deal with anxiety, like Brittany doing some of the little yoga exercises and mindfulness things, but also gratitude. I found this book called The Book of Awesome when I was going through part of the worst stages of my life back about 7 years ago. And it was just like a really simple book, but I highly recommend it. And I'm going to actually read this quote to you from it. It's on, so, and let me get to the, I'm going to come back to those. But anyway, this is from Neil Pasricha, who wrote this book. But he's like, if you can be happy with simple things, then it'll be simple to be happy. And I'm not like a toxic happiness kind of person. Look, I get it that life sucks a lot and you don't have to be happy all the time. So I have a different definition of happy than he does, I think. But anyway, start keeping up with your things that you're grateful for, things that you're happy about, things that like can let you have a change your perspective a little bit. And when I say things that you're grateful for and happy about, I mean like maybe right now, like right this minute, so that you can think about that. And then I'm going to take that off down for a second. And so I'm going to come to you guys. And I'm going to start with, I guess, Mark. We'll just keep going around the circle. So Mark, can you just like, we're just going to talk about stuff we're thankful for right now, like little things, big things, you know, whatever whatever is making you grateful.
Sure. So I think the biggest thing right now for me is my kids. I have 3 young girls. They're 9, almost 7, and 4, and they're fantastic. And this is like their favorite time of the year because I'm not as busy. And so I spend a lot of time playing with them, like a solid 2 or 3 hours a day. We just got done inventing a game with little colored bears that give you magic powers. And it was hilarious. That's why I was actually a little bit late, because I had to finish it up. We couldn't leave the plot of the game hanging. And so, I think that the more that time I spend with them, the more I reflect on how much they mean to me and my wife too. The more grateful I feel, for where I am in life and what I get to do, both professionally, but more importantly, I think with my family.
Awesome. And for those of you in the chat, I'd love to hear what you're grateful for too. If you want to type it in there and tell us as we're going through. And then I'm going to keep moving on. Alex, what's something little big that you're grateful for, thankful for?
I'm really grateful for being able to live in a place where I have a really strong like social network, and I have a lot of friends around me. And my friends are like a pretty constant saving grace because I put a lot of my effort and energy into my work. And I'm someone who can become really consumed by just obsessive thinking about whatever it is that's in front of me that I care about and that I'm into. And my friends and humor are basically the things that will, pull me out of that every time. So yeah, I mean, in my life, cannot emphasize the importance of having a solid social network and like people you trust and people who represent like a space that's apart from whatever you're dealing with, that's like the epicenter of stress in your life. So for me, that's huge. It's everything.
Yeah, that's great. And Ben, what about you?
Yeah, well, they took family and friends, so I got to go a little bit more superficial, I guess. I've been super thankful all throughout the COVID months and years now for music. And I used to play in bands starting in like high school and in college. And it's just something that really got away from me after college. It just didn't feel as much a part of what I did, even though it was always part of my identity. And one of my best friends and I started playing music together and got a rehearsal space that we rent. And we just make a bunch of noise in there a couple times a week. And we've been starting to like record music. And I learned the drums in the last couple of years. And so I'm like learning new things and having a creative outlet with people that I care about, and recording that, being able to document it as this time in my life has been really, really valuable to me, and a nice escape and just a total different aspect of my life, separate from everything else going on.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So the one thing I'm going to talk about right now that I'm thankful for is ice cream. When I'm really stressed out, I crave ice cream. I can't keep ice cream in my house, but because I will eat it. But like when I'm really stressed out, I like need ice cream, and it definitely helps. So I'm going to just like throw out ice cream right now because it definitely helps me. So let's think about, Mark, you had a couple of things you wanted to talk about. I'm going to make sure we get to those. In the meantime, like while I'm coming to you, you can either do that or talk about ways that you handle stress or ways that you help your students handle the stress of this time right now.
Sure. So I think the biggest thing I keep telling my students, because, admissions consulting is like guiding people through the process, and it's also helping them manage their stress and like stay sane, right? Because this process is overwhelming. Some days I feel more like a therapist than a consultant, right? I'm sure, Alex, you know what this is like, right? And a lot of what I have to keep telling my students lately is like, if you make it to May, everything's going to be so much more clear, because May 1st is the deadline by which you'll have to have committed somewhere. So like May, you already has this all settled out and knows what's happening, whether it's enrolling at a safety school, whether it's getting off a wait list somewhere. Obviously that can maybe go into the summer, but we'll pretend I didn't say that. Whether it's getting into your dream school tomorrow, whether it's, figuring out what to do with a gap year, whatever that looks like, there's a lot of options. And life is really long. You get many, many chances to make mistakes and come back from them. You get many, many chances to redefine who you are and to redefine what success even means to you and how you're going to achieve it. And like, there are so many paths forward in life, and almost none of them end with like you living under a bridge somewhere, completely destitute. That just doesn't happen very often. And so what I want to help people understand is that there will be a day when things are more clear. And right now things feel very up in the air. And so you just sort of have to lean into that, recognize that this is a bit of a watershed moment, but eventually you're going to have more clarity. And so you just have to sort of look forward to let everything fall into place, and it's going to be okay. So that's one of the big things I think that I've been trying to help people through.
Yeah. Just holding on. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex, what are you going to say? What do you say to the kids tomorrow who don't get the results? Their applications don't come back. They don't get the results that they want, that they've been hoping for, probably many of them for 4, 5, 6 years. What do you say to them about how to deal with that? Because they're devastated, right?
Yeah.
Many of them have already been devastated by decisions that have happened already, right?
Yeah, I think that, hopefully, most students have at this point, heard back and hopefully gotten, some positive results from perhaps like safeties, if lists were planned in a good way, and have begun to go into a sort of preventative defensive curl, because they know that, this is a really difficult time of year. Acceptances are not very likely from schools on Ivy Day, and they've started to look for some silver linings at schools that, they may not have been at the top of their list, but are really, really good prospects. So when I'm talking to, my students, like something I really emphasize, pulling kind of from my own background, is that losses are really how you build resilience in life, right? And negotiating that sort of psychic fallout when you really want something bad and it doesn't turn out is a really huge, important step that we all go through when we're growing. And Mark, you kind of, alluded to that, but like, I'll tell them straight up, and I'll say, like, there's a lot of things that I've really wanted very badly in my life that were related to, higher education or, something I've put all my energy into that didn't turn out. I was a transfer student. I wanted to go to Stanford more than anything back in 2013, and I didn't get into Stanford as a transfer. Went to a liberal arts college I had really never heard of because they offered me financial aid that I couldn't turn down. I didn't get a Fulbright fellowship that I really wanted to, and I got the announcement that I didn't get it on my birthday in college. I've had 2 failed businesses. There's all these things that are seemingly catastrophic, but you learn from each one of them, and each one of them teaches you how to lose more gracefully next time. Mm-hmm. So I think that coping in the short term is important, and bracing yourself for bad results is super important. But I also really strongly recommend trying to have like a constructive view on setbacks even before they happen, right? Like you can take that time and process that disappointment, but try to find a way to move through it and to look forward. And that's how you build resilience over time, I really believe. So for me, this is a really hard time, and it's an opportunity as well as it is like a time that will be challenging and really disappointing. Yeah.
No, that's all great advice. And I think, you guys are all still really young, but kind of just like learning from life that like it's going to really suck sometimes, and it's going to be really amazing sometimes. And this could very well be one of those really sucky times in your life, or maybe not, but learning that you're going to get past it, that it's going to be okay. And as much as people hate to hear that, because it doesn't feel okay right now, and that's okay too. You're allowed to not feel okay. And Ben, what about you? Any advice to the kids who are, who might have heard back from Vandy, didn't get the, application results they wanted, or going to hear back tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I think back to around this time of year is the summer that I spent working at a pre-college program. So I was in graduate school and I was working at Harvard at their pre-college summer program. So this is, super high achieving high school students going to Harvard classes for a couple weeks and doing a lot of programming. I ran an admissions program for them about finding your best fit college and the differences between schools and how to apply and things like that. So I had 150 high schoolers in this room listening about different types of colleges. And one of the questions that I asked them was, raise your hand if you're going to apply to Harvard. Literally 100% of those students shot their hands in the air. They're ready to go. They're applying to Harvard. What I didn't say, but was in my mind, is like, okay, now 96% of you put your hands down, right? And this is, the 4% with their hands still raised are the ones who might get into Harvard, right? It's just has nothing to do with the caliber of student, because every student there was probably smarter than I am and so incredibly capable. After that session, a girl, a high school rising senior at that time, came up to me. She was really interested in Vanderbilt. So she wanted to talk to me about what it's like at Vandy. And so we met a couple times, talked about how her application would go and what she's interested in her senior year and things like that. Well, fast forward a year later, she didn't get into Vanderbilt. I knew that. I'd taken a peek at her application. But she followed up with me. We'd emailed back just once or twice, but she followed up with me a handful of weeks into her freshman year and just said like, hey, it was so good meeting you. And I just want you to know, like, I'm at, I won't tell you, but state flagship institution. And, it's not what I expected, but I just joined a sorority. These girls are awesome. I'm making friends with people on my hall. I've met so many different people, and it's all good. Like, I'm not going to transfer. I'm going to be here. I think about that all the time. I think about people who go to their not first choice college, or like Alex and myself, that liberal arts college that most people on this call have never heard of, and like, do okay, do just fine, and meet some of their best friends or maybe their future partner and those kinds of things at those institutions, and how special that is and how that can happen just about anywhere, including places where you might not expect it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I think all of us can probably tell you hundreds of stories of kids in the past, last year, the year before that, who didn't get the decision they wanted about their applications. And then they come back and, we get them pretty much daily on A2C right now. Hey guys, I just want to let you know, my decisions really didn't go my way last year. I am here at this school and it's all amazing. And this is why it's so great. But yeah. And so you have to know that it just because it doesn't go the way you were expecting doesn't mean it's going to be bad. And just the zigging and the zagging of life is stressful, but it's not necessarily bad, even though it's going to feel bad tomorrow. So we have Carolina waiting, who I'm going to let on in just right now, actually. And there she is. Carolina, hi. So Carolina is one of my two favorite yoga teachers, and Brittany was on at the beginning, and Carolina is going to finish us off because we're just doing a little hour today of just kind of helping to deal with stress and working through that. So Ben and Alex and Mark, I would love for y'all to stay and continue the conversation until we close it out. But I know if you have to go, I totally get that too. But we'll, kind of continue our conversation. Up to you. So whatever you want to do.
Thank you so much. I've got a meeting, so I've got to go. But
all right, Mark.
Always a pleasure to join, and great to meet you, Ben and Carolina, and wish you guys all the best.
Mark, I hope you'll be back soon because I'm going to talk a lot more about that imposter syndrome. I think that's
that could be a whole episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Have a good night.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Okay.
I can hang out I got another 10 minutes or so. I can
awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Carolina, let me introduce yourself. I'll quickly introduce you to Ben and Alex. So Ben works at Vanderbilt in admissions. Alex works with me on applying to college, that subreddit where I am a moderator, where we have 750,000 kids now, I think, right? Or almost, if not quite there. Or people from all over. I guess some of them are parents and other people. And Alex is also an admissions consultant like I am. And Carolina, I will let you introduce yourself and tell people how to get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you.
Cool. Thank you. Is this thing on?
Yes, it is. We can hear you.
Yeah. Well, none of you guys have the dorky headset, so I just want to make sure that you guys could hear me. But
I can put mine on if you want.
yes, that would make me feel better.
Okay.
So thank you so much for inviting me and thinking of me. So as Carolyn said, my name's Carolina, and we've met, I guess, 6 years ago or whatnot.
4 or 5.
I moved to Houston. Well, I worked in corporate America for a bit and decided that was not. I love that you guys were talking about life kind of takes different turns and you make lots of different choices and you think what's right for you and you pick that and then boom, you get to switch directions. Because I, thought that what I wanted was a corporate life, and I saw myself in the big corner office, and I thought I was going to be the next CEO of ExxonMobil. Small dreams, right? And I got there and I was like, ooh, not exactly what I want. And so years later, I made the very large transition to opening up my own yoga studio, which is where I met Carolyn. So she's one of my students and friends, and we've been together ever since. So yeah, and then as life continues, surprises continue, and COVID and lots of other things sort of forced me to make another decision in my life, which was close the yoga studio and take my life in a new direction. So I'm currently also in a process of transitioning out of that role, which I thought was the thing, right? And so that's kind of been the interesting thing, that we have these dreams and we become so focused, and we're like, great, that's the thing. If I only make it, if I only had that corner office, or if I only got that yoga studio, that's it. But it's actually more fun than that, because once you get that, that's great, but there's always something more. So I'm kind of in this, I'm really taking this time to sort of figure out my next steps, and still trying to, do the things that I love to do, but really over time, understanding that there's a bigger picture that is often so hard to see when you're so uber focused on that one goal, which I think is really great. But we miss that there's this really big picture. And so, Carolyn, I think you said this, just because things don't go exactly as you planned doesn't mean that they're bad. And for me, I never thought I would be married in Houston, Texas. Like I never thought my life would turn out the way that it has. And it's been, I don't regret any part of it. Right. And I hope that it keeps getting fun, or I get more fun surprises along the way. So kind of a messy intro there, but just a little bit of my path.
Yeah. And thank you so very much for being here with us. And I know evenings are busy, 2 little kids makes it hard, but I really appreciate your taking the time to come be with us. Carolina was my very first yoga teacher too, my very first yoga class. Yeah, she got me hooked from the beginning. So thank you for taking the time to be here. So Carolina, what's something you're grateful for? And I want to hear from you guys out there in the chat too. Something you're grateful for. What do you think?
As Ben said, everybody took like the obvious things, like I'm thankful for my family, my friends, but we often leave ourselves out. So I was thinking, as y'all were talking, I was like, my upbringing, it makes me kind of nervous to even say this because like you don't talk about yourself. But you know what? I'm really grateful that I think I'm really funny. And I think that having a sense of humor really has helped me along in life. And so I'm really grateful that no matter the situation, usually even when it's inappropriate, I can crack a joke. And that has served me really well. So I'm grateful for my sense of humor that I get from my dad.
I love it. All right. So we got some, and Carly, I might need your help here getting these to show up since I can't make it work. So can you show us Nathaniel's? Yeah, there we go. So Nathaniel, having a good safety to attend, that can make such a difference for the kids. You can tell the kids who've been on our subreddit over time because they do have a list of really strong safeties that they love. And the kids who kind of come to us in March and like they've gotten waitlisted and denied everywhere. And you can just see like, oh no, I feel so bad. But the good news is there are still plenty of colleges accepting applications who are amazing, amazing colleges. So for those of you who don't have a strong safety like Nathaniel, there are some great colleges out there looking for amazing students like you, and many of them have money. I'm working on a big list of them right now, actually. So that's awesome. And let's see, Carly, can you show us Muhammad's, please? Grateful for having a support system to rely on during these stressful times. 100%. Yeah. And let them know that, you're thankful for them. Yeah. Thank you for sharing those. Alex, round 2 for you. What's something else you're thankful for?
Something else I'm thankful for. I'm really thankful for the relative abatement of COVID-19 because so when I was in like 2 years ago, I moved to New York, and I moved here right at the beginning of the pandemic, like March 2020. And the city went from being totally open and fun to completely closed and like the epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic. And now I'm back in Brooklyn, and it's just a totally different place. And like you can go on this, it's still you wear a mask and whatnot, but like the city is alive again, and it just feels like a space where it's possible to have like physical connection and actually like have relationships with people in real space. So I'm super grateful for that. It's like been a huge change.
Yeah, I think we all are. That was a really good one to bring up. What about you, Ben? Round 2.
Yeah, I'll pull on that same thread that Alex has going. I'm so thankful for travel coming back into my life, both personally and professionally. Alex and Carolyn both have heard a little bit of my dreams of having an RV and being able to travel on a whim. But I think also just like, my work is about to send me on a trip through Texas, by the way, Carolyn. I'm going to come to Houston. I haven't told you that yet, but I'd love to see. I'm dog sitting next week in Miami, just like silly things that I'm able to just say yes to and be able to, work and get things done, but move around and see my friends and see my family. It just makes life so much more rich, and it makes me feel so much more fulfilled when I'm able to move around. Anyone that knows me knows if I spend a few weeks in the same place, I get an itch and I've got to move. And so I'm very thankful that at least right now, it's a little bit easier, a lot easier to do that than it was previously.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I can't wait to see you when you're in Texas. That'd be great. I said this is round 3 for me. And I'm going to, there are so many, but I'm going to go with music for this one. I'm not a musician, but music has always played a big part in my life. And especially when I'm upset or bothered by something. I mean, music's great when I'm happy for sure. But like, so for example, today, we've got some stressful stuff going on in my life, and I went for a long walk and I just played like all of David Bowie's greatest hits. And like it immediately just got me, first of all, his lyrics speak to me in a way, but also the upbeatness of it. And just like I immediately got out of my head a little bit and just kind of like thinking about some important statements that he's saying. Oh, for me, the fave genre. Yeah, I love reggae. I love ska. I love rap. I love hip hop. I love rock. I mean, I like all of it. Yeah. So Gavin, you want to put Gavin's up there because I like it. Thank you. Gavin's grateful for music too. Beyonce is what kept me going after Wharton rejection. Yeah, Beyonce's good too. Yeah, I play a lot of Beyonce also. Yeah. So music definitely I have a history of music helping me out in tough situations. So that's when I'm going to go with that one. I was choosing between music and air conditioning. Air conditioning is also really key in Houston. Yeah, so cool. So Carolina, and in the chat, if y'all want to talk about, I would love to hear from you all if you have any suggestions to each other about ways that you're planning to handle stress or ways you are handling your stress. That'd be great. Love to hear from you all. And I'm going to let Carolina kind of take us through a quick little, maybe movement, maybe a little mindfulness exercise, or tell a story. I don't know what she has up her sleeve, but she's always got something great. So I'm going to just depend on that. To kind of prepare these kids prepare them for a stressful day tomorrow if they have one, or accepting, I guess, some of the stress that they might have already had in their lives if they've already gotten their decisions.
Yeah, awesome. So first I'll just kind of tell you what we're going to do, and then we're going to do it. And then you will tell me if you like the, no, you don't have to do that. I'll just do it. So for me, what's worked, and really I found yoga, or a yoga practice, and you could really be of any style or whatnot, but I found yoga because I was in deep stress, right? At the time I was doing grad school and I had a full-time job and whatnot. And so what I fell in love with really was this combination of movement, breath, and present moment awareness, which is really what, whether you have 5 minutes or you have 2 hours, like these are the important components. And one of my teachers explained it this way: like if you see 2 ducks, right, that get into a fight, right, they're just like, all the emotions are running high and they're in deep stress and they're bickering and doing duck fighting. What happens at the end is that when they kind of are done, they float away, and then they do a huge amount of like feather ruffling. And it's almost like they're shaking off that bad energy, right? Like literally the rolling off the back thing, right? Like where the movement is what like lets them just let it like release. And for me, movement, whether it's a walk or like the few little movements of the body that we're going to do, what that does is it just kind of clears your body, your physical being, of the stressful negative energy. And so just that, right, can make a huge difference. The second, and I'll take you through 1 or 2 like little breathing techniques, are really easy. And really the idea is just to kind of let yourself breathe fully, because when we're stressed, we start really breathing shallow, right? And you're just like not getting oxygen to all the parts of your body that you should. And really it's what activates the parasympathetic response, right, that we want. So breathing. And then the last one is, being present is one of or realizing that your life is happening in this moment is one of the best ways for me I tend to go more the anxiety route, right? Because anxiety lives in the future, right? And so when you are fully present in your body, which only exists in this moment, there's really no problem right here, right now, right? All of the problems are in your mind about the future. But if you can just let go of that and focus on right here, right now, I feel like that really just kind of snaps you out of like the spiraling circle of doom where you do end up living under a bridge, right? So bringing you back to the present moment through these practices, I think is like is the key. So with that, I set up a little chair. You don't have to do it on a chair. You could do it on your bed. You could do it on a yoga mat or whatever. I just find that a chair is easy because that way, if you're working at your desk, you can just like roll back a little bit and still get the full benefit of this. And it's just a couple of minutes. So it could really be like, one of your breaks, you go grab water. One of your breaks, you just do a couple little stretches on your chair. And so the first thing that I'll say, and this sounds too woo-woo, forgive me. It's my industry now, but I do believe in it. Take your shoes off and ground your feet to the ground. Like truly, like put your feet on the ground. If you're outside and on the grass, even better. But if you're at home, just take your shoes off and really root your feet down. And then from there, start lengthening your spine, right? So we want kind of new energy to come in. We don't want to be all like, right? We want to be sitting up nice and tall, shoulders relaxed. Already sometimes just getting out of the hunched typing mode will make a big difference. So if it feels comfortable for you to close your eyes, you can go ahead and do that. And then all we're going to do is become aware that we are breathing. You don't have to change the way you're breathing. You just have to become aware of the fact that there's air coming in through your nose and then out through your nose. And as you do that, you'll notice that your focus has to narrow, right? And you can slowly start sort of letting go of the stimulation that has our mind spinning. So again, just focusing, air coming in and air coming out. We'll do 3 more rounds of that. Just noticing the inhale. Noticing the exhale. And we'll keep the spine nice and long and just tuck the chin down towards your chest. Probably already feel a stretch there. And then roll your right ear toward your right shoulder. And just let that length here through the left side feel really good. And just take it on to the other side. So rolling the chin down and all the way over towards your left. Chin back down to center. Lift back up. Good. We're going to take the arms up over the head. Good. You're going to interlace your fingers and flip the palms up towards the sky. Good. And then start taking some big circles. Just kind of waking up the upper body. And then take that in the opposite direction. Good. We're going to take those hands back down. Now, we're going to do a few what we call seated cat-cows, which is really just kind of an arching of the spine where you're going to look up. And as you exhale, a much bigger movement, you're going to round the spine. Like you wanted to touch the back of your chair with your spine. Using your knees here is a little bit of resistance. And let's do 2 more of those. So inhale, kind of broaden through the heart. And then exhale, round. You can do 1 more. Good. Come back to your feet here. I'm going to take a twist. I love twists. In yoga, we really turn to twist as sort of a cleansing mechanism, right? So it's almost like you're wringing out that stress, that negative energy out of the body. So in a chair, it works best if you bring your feet and your knees together. We're just going to twist. So use the back of your chair and maybe your knee to help you twist. 2 to 3 breaths is all you need. Obviously, longer is nicer. And then come back to center and just do that on the other side. So keeping the spine nice and long and taking your twist. Good. We're gonna come back to center. If you want to stay in your chair, we're just gonna fold right over, like really like you're pouring yourself over your legs. You can also stand up, and it feels really nice to do just like a full-on forward fold here. Just mind you, the knees should actually be pretty bent here. So we're working to relax the low back and really working on letting go of any tension and stress in the upper body. So feel free to bend your knees if you're standing and not sitting. If you're a nice little added touch, you can use your own hands to give yourself a little bit of a neck massage. Maybe interlace your fingers and place those hands at the base of your neck, adding just a little bit more weight. And then when you're good and ready, start slowly rolling back up. One more thing here. Again, just there's a million things we could do, but keeping it to our little coffee breaks or water breaks. We're going to work on just the hips. Those get really, really tight when we sit so much, and stress tends to kind of tighten us up there. So we're going to just take the one ankle over the opposite knee, create your figure four. Maybe this is pretty intense. You can stay there. If it's not and you want to go a little deeper, just kind of lean forward. And just feel that stretch in the hip. That feels great for me, really good. And we'll come back up. Try it on the other side. And then Carolyn, tell me if I have like 1 more minute just to show alternate nostril breathing. And if not, then that's cool. You can teach it to them later.
Yeah, I think I'll do that one later because we're going to run out of time.
Yeah,
I'll do that one another time. I'll have you back.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So just, really any movement, so just getting up out of your chair and like wiggling around like the ducks in the story works too. But this is just more of a, each body part gets a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a tension, and that hopefully will help you kind of get reset, clear, focused as you move on to the next.
Thank you so much. I already feel better from moving and really appreciate that. So thank you. And so I'm going to put up, Carly, would you mind putting up Gavin's, what he's thankful for? Just because I want to be able to, I like that one. So, oh yeah, grateful for music, hiking, and just driving to remote places is my de-stress. Haven't gone lately because it's cold, but when he's in the middle of nowhere, it feels super calming. That's cool. And then I wanted to put up another one to talk about, because I want to talk about this with you, Carolina, for just a second. Can you put up Nathaniel's first one about the future? I thought it was interesting. So this is interesting to me because you were saying focusing on the now really like keeps you grounded, Carolina. But Nathaniel was saying like looking into the future and knowing that he's going to be fine kind of helps him know that even when it temporarily sucks, that it's okay. And I thought that was a really, mature kind of way of looking at it.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Yeah.
That is really interesting. I think I'm sorry, I think I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's good. Keep going.
I think that's, when we can develop sort of that sense of trust, right? And sure you hear, trust the process, but when you do have sort of the big picture trust that, hey, life is going to take its twists and turns, but ultimately you believe in yourself, right? And you believe that you have everything that you need to, to be happy and to make your life be what you want it to be, then that you're going to be okay. I think that's a really wonderful and grounded way to look at the future. Mm-hmm. Usually for anxious people, that's not the way we look at the future. Mm-hmm. We're a little bit more, and I have a friend that, I am pretty type A and I like to control things. And that's where future for me feels scary. Mm-hmm. And so it's easier for me to gravitate to a present moment because I know, well, right here, at least I have evidence that everything is fine. So yeah, I think that different things might be really helpful for different people. But if the idea of like, hey, no matter what, I'm going to be fine is calming, then yes, I think that's awesome.
I tend to go along with the way Nathaniel thinks about it. Interesting. Now, grounding in the present moment can help me with like extreme anxiety that I'm having at the minute. But I also I have this like thing that I use called 10-10-10. So in 10 minutes, how am I going to be feeling? In 10 months, how am I going to be feeling? And in 10 years, how am I going to feel about this? And for me, that tends to help me put things into perspective. Like, is it something that I'm still going to be worried about in 10 minutes? Well, probably, or I wouldn't be thinking about it, right? Is it something that in 10 months is still going to bother me? I don't know. Like, that's something I really need to think about. Is it something that in 10 years is still going to be bothering me? More than likely not. But like, it helps me to think about that. But I'm wondering, and that's why I'm so impressed, and I say it's so mature of Nathaniel to be able to do that, because that has come from living, multiple decades of life and seeing that in 10 years it's going to be okay. Like experiencing that, the thing that I thought was the worst thing ever, usually in 10 months is not even the worst thing ever, frequently in a month. So I thought that was a really mature thing. But the thing that yoga has taught me is also being in the present moment helps with the like immediate sense of anxiety too. And it also helps me to think, okay, it's going to go away. But, like the weather, like we always talk about, and Brittany talked about, like those feelings are going to pass.
Right. And maybe to add on, one of my favorite things that Byron and Katie said is, one of the silliest things that we can do is be mad that it's raining, right? And I get that in this situation it can be difficult to think this way, but what I like about the present moment thing is that you almost learn to be okay with not being okay, right? Like instead of resisting it, because again, I like that quote, and I like the example of the weather, because all of us understand how silly it would be to ruin our whole days because it's raining. We can't do anything about that, right? Resisting that isn't the right approach. Putting on our rain gear and going outside to play would be the better approach, right? And so I keep that in the back of my mind, because I'm annoyed at the silliest things, or I try to resist certain things in my life that aren't going the way that I wanted them to go. It's like, well, why am I going to resist and be upset right now? What can I do in this moment to sort of ease the discomfort in some way? And so I think that can be a good tool as well.
Yeah, and 100%. And I think we can finish with that, because I think for many of you, you might already be feeling uncomfortable or sad or upset. And for many more of you, tomorrow, those of you who are watching tomorrow, it's going to be a hard day. And the odds are that things are not going to go your way. You're applying to these highly rejective colleges at the most rejective time ever. I mean, the acceptance rates that I'm seeing that the colleges are putting out there are teeny tiny. I mean, I'm not going to, and I want you to be prepared. If things go your way, awesome. Be super happy and excited, as you should be, but be prepared that it might not go your way. And also, please, please, please keep this in mind. You are not your college applications. Your college applications are separate from you. I know that you've done a ton of work. I know that you've put in a ton of effort over the years to be able to apply to these amazing colleges, but that's not leaving you. Everything that you've learned about yourself, everything that you've put forth to apply to colleges, all still here with you. That is you. The applications are separate from you. And I just want you to keep in mind that you are not your college applications. You get to decide who you are. Nobody else gets to do that. Just because they didn't accept your application doesn't mean they're not accepting you as a person. And it doesn't mean that you're not accepting you as a person. So please keep that in mind. Hold on to yourselves. Hold on to yourselves tomorrow. Reach out to me. You know how to find me, all of you. You can even find me here on YouTube if you don't know how to find me on Reddit or Instagram. And best of luck. Best of luck holding on to your hearts. Best of luck with admissions. And Carolina, thank you so very much. I know that this is a busy time for you, and I really appreciate your taking the time to come and talk to the kids and be here with us. And Carly, jump on so we can say goodbye.
Such a joy. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is Carly. Thank you for being here with us, Carly, and for helping out. And thank you all for joining us at Badass College Apps, where we talk about college admissions. Carly, do you want to finish? Oh, can't hear you. Oh, you're muted. I'll do it for her.
Where we stop and take a breath.
That's right. So we talk about college admissions, and then we stop and take a breath. And I want you all to remember to do that tomorrow. Stop and take a breath, and maybe watch this again if you're watching now, just to kind of get some hints and feelings. And thank you all. Thanks again. Oh, there's Bella. Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Carolina. And thank you all who are here with us. And thank you, everybody who's watching tomorrow. Bye-bye.